Mario Maker is a unique series of games. Well, I suppose I could call it a series, with only 2 games under its belt. The sequel proves to expand upon past mechanics and flesh out the item count and overall customability of each stage. Before I get into the nitty gritty of things, allow me to brief over some minor improvements of life. The night theme is just awesome. This is something I've heavily requested in the first game. It's not just for aesthetic appeal. For example, the desert theme has extreme gusts of strong winds, or the castle theme enabling you to swim in the air, sort of like those space segments from Super Mario Land 2. Combined with new additional themes, there seems to be more of a variety when playing levels. Also, just one more side note before I get deep into the review. The 3D World theme has a bit of controversy surrounding it. If the player wants to switch game modes between 3D World in the middle of building that level, the level has to be reset. While on face value, this seems ridiculous considering every game mode transitions properly within one another. The 3D World style, however, is simply too unique to fit along with the other rule schemes. If the developers made accommodations to alleviate the scenario, then personally, it would have just been a bogged down experience. At that rate, it just wouldn't be 3D World. Okay, with that out of the way, what are some major gripes I have with the game? Well, one prevalent issue that I immediately ran into while booting up the game was a complete downgrade within the usability of the level editor. Before launch, I did hear a lot of complaints on this matter, but frankly, I thought many just needed to adjust properly to the control scheme. But no joke, I actually miss the Wii U gamepad. But look, before I explain why I think the Wii U gamepad is just so much more superior for a game like Mario Maker, let me actually tell you guys how the developers accommodated for a pro controller scheme. It's an absolute nightmare in the beginning. The moment you open up the editor for the first time, you will feel so helpless. If you try and rely on the old conventions of the original game, then you're just gonna be screwed. Okay, let me begin with something that didn't even need to be an issue on face value. The fact that you have to toggle the copy and multi-grab feature with just one button. Like, there isn't enough trigger buttons on the Pro controller. Like, why did they think this was a good idea? Well, I think I know the reason behind this decision. It's probably because they wanted to enable play for a single Joy-Con, and the single Joy-Cons only have 2 buttons. And sadly, I think that's kind of the problem that I'm going to express later down the line. Another complaint about the level editor is that the screen is just way too cropped in, and this kind of can get a little bit distracting, especially with the aggressive UI. Another oddity is the item wheels. While they're not bad at all, I think this is actually the best solution for a pro controller scheme. It's just that if you're looking for a very specific item, it can take some time to find it. At this rate, I think you guys get the point. The level editor is just extremely bogged down from the Wii U version. I mean, that version, no questions asked. You knew exactly what to do from the start. Yes, there were some caveats along the way, but for the most part, everything was just very seamless. Want to get a new item? Just tap down the drop down menu and you'll be able to see every single item that you can use. You want to see if you can get a green Koopa? Well, then shake that red Koopa. I mean, that really does lead to a lot of cool experimentation. Something that I did in the very first game was to shake every single object and see what would happen. It was just really fun to see the results of everything. And even if there wasn't anything to come out of it, usually the game would kind of play fun and poke at it. And look, I know a lot of these issues are pretty much unavoidable. The Nintendo Switch's hardware, while amazing, I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why the Switch is so successful. For Mario Maker, it's not the best system for it. Okay, enough complaining about the level editor. Let's discuss the other half of the game, actually playing the levels. Frankly, there's been improvements all around. Also, the overall process of discovering levels is much more convenient, with each level having a subcategory to describe it. So, for example, if you want to play a music level, then there's a filter for that. One misfire is the omission of the 100-man Mario challenge. Endless challenge is not a bad idea at all, but I feel like it would have just been better to leave the option to play these other modes. I mean, it certainly wouldn't have hurt. One issue that definitely needs to be addressed is how laggy the online multiplayer is. And no, I don't think it's my connection. This is something that my Twitch chat has expressed to hell and back. Also, on a side note, you really can't play with your friends online, which is just a disappointment overall, but I believe there is some confirmation that that will be patched up in a later date. And if this is true, and if it does happen, I really do commend the development team. They really are listening to the fans' criticisms, unlike other companies. Oh, and I forgot about story mode. I really don't have too many complaints. The levels are great that the developers made. The features in these levels, however, could really be used to inspire level creators to take what they've learned from those levels and put it into their own sort of style. To end this off, while there are changes I didn't mention like amiibo costumes and plenty of other cool Easter eggs missing, I don't think that takes away from the core experience from Mario Maker. I think the core experience of Mario Maker really was the community, what kind of crazy levels people could devise in their own wits. Every day after launch, there's always something new being discovered, which really expands the core game. All in all, I would definitely recommend to grab this game if you have a Switch. It is simply the game that just keeps giving.